welcome to another edition of Vinyl Video. We have a real treat tonight. We are opening up one of my favorite bottles of wine ever, and Derek's probably.
It's delicious.
This is a winery from California, from Napa, but not one that you've probably ever heard of before. They're called Tulocay. They are in Napa proper, but they're just not very well known. You don't really see the wine anywhere, not even in California, but they do sell a bit of it in New York, which is where I first learned about it, because I used to sell this wine at the store that I had in New York, or that I worked at. And this was actually the first winery that I really visited after I got into the wine business, which is one of the reasons that it's so dear to me. And I met the owner, Bill Cadman, who is one of the nicest, coolest guys ever, and he made me like his wines even more because he was such a great guy. And a few weeks ago, Derek and I had the very great pleasure of visiting Bill again, and Derek also fell in love with his wines and with Bill because he is a great guy, and when you do a tasting at his winery, it's definitely unlike any other tasting you will do in Napa, for sure.
It was a torrid love affair.
But Tulocay is great because their wines are not typically Californian. His Chardonnays and Pinots are very Burgundian. They're very elegant and earthy, and his Zinfandel is really unlike any other. It's not your big fruit bomb style Zinfandel. It's definitely got elegance to it. It almost tastes like a European wine, which is kind of rare for Zinfandel. And he sources his grapes from Amador County, which is a great place for Zinfandel grapes. And this, what we have here is the 2002. It's a little bit older.
A little bit older still, right?
But it's still really, really freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And his wines age really well,
right,
because he does.
He does what he does so well. That
Yeah, well, he makes them in a style that's really something more for laying down than some Zinfandels, for sure.
it almost makes your mouth water right off the nose.
Yeah. It's really dark notes to it. It's got some like blackberry, but it's more like a kind of toasty, almost like a. It almost. This is a little weird, but it kind of reminds me of a Brunello almost on the nose. Really elegant, almost like rubbery, a little like tobacco, a little like herby notes to it.
This Brunello,
But like mint or like spearmint almost. Brunello is a Tuscan wine.
Oh, I thought it was like a very small person with dark hair.
Yeah, and the palate, this is just, it's pretty amazing. It's so elegant, it's got really nice acidity to it.
You just
Really
want to
nice
keep it in
red
your
tan.
mouth for as long as possible without swallowing.
Yeah, it's really, really cool wine, really unlike any other. If you ever find Tulocay at a store near you, I definitely recommend buying it. And if you're in Napa, I recommend visiting Bill for sure. So what did we decide to pair this awesome wine with?
Well,
That was a good one.
going on that hard to find element, something that's great and rare, hard to find, almost forgotten. We're listening to Willow's album, Branching Out. Willow is a trio from the Bay Area that recorded in the early 70s. Their first self-titled album came out in 73. Branching Out came out in 74, which is probably just about the time Bill was deciding which grapes to use in his first vintage, which, according to him, came out in 75. So they roughly date from the same time and roughly the same area. Willow is a trio led by a guy named Barry Fitzgerald, and they are it's California's soft pop in the vein of Bread and some of the bands. The Eagles, I guess, would be a distant cousin. And a lot of people, they have a sort of instant attitude about that kind of music. They think it's just bland and elevator music, but that's not the case at all. It's got a lot of folk elements, also some like hard electric jams and songs in a variety of styles, and a lot of really beautiful ballads and excellent songwriting. And it's just exactly what you'd imagine when you think about the perfect, ideal California day of sitting on a hillside, looking at the water and the sky and blissing out. It's exactly what you get with this album. The thing about it is it's not available as MP3 or CD, or if you look them up, you're not going to find anything about them. And that's part of the joy of record collecting, is coming across a band like Willow and an album like this and discovering it and sharing it with people. Kind of like Tulocay.
Cool. Yeah, it seems like a perfect pair.
It definitely reminds me, listening to this album, of sitting in Bill's backyard, looking at that tree and that field, and tasting some really, really dope California red wine.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bill.
I'll drink to that.